is actually our official and first ever vlog and discussion when it comes to BPO industry. So, right now, let me start off with how the hiring process goes with the BPO industry. So, to start, let me go ahead and proceed to our next slide. So, what you will learn actually after this would be interview tips, how to dress properly, know the company and the position, general hiring procedures, which are actually composed of the initial interview, typing test, communication and comprehension, exam. We have the versant, and then the final interview. So let's get started. Okay, so for the interview tips, when you're going to an interview, you should equip yourself with the most basic things you know that you're confident to talk about. The following slides will give you the idea on how to be effective to get through an interview. Actually, it's not really on the next slides, it's actually in my next video. For this one, it's actually just a tip. You always have to be truthful when it comes to the items that you're going to add in your resume. Basically, from contact information to educational background, to the experience, past experience you've had, if you actually have any. But if none, it's definitely okay to have your work experience as blank because everyone has to get through that stage. Now, when you are on that portion, you actually just have to really sell yourself. You need to know better. You are the one who actually knows yourself better. So open a conversation that you are comfortable talking with, and something that you really can expound on your own. So that's the very good thing about not having any experience yet, because I mean, a BPO experience, I would say, because usually questions would actually just fall out under your schooling experience, maybe when you did write-ups, when you did research in the past. Those will be the basis of the questions, and a question about the company might come up, a question about the position open might come up, but it's less likely that they will dwell on that questions. So that's just it. You always have to think of the things that you're confident to talk about, and that's what you're going to add in your resume. And that's definitely also something that you would want to open up when your interviewer is there in front of you. Um, Also, one thing about doing interviews, as much as possible, do not be intimidated with anyone you are talking to. It is okay to feel nervous because everyone does feel that. Even if you've had 10, 20 experiences, past experiences in the interviews, you still will feel nervous every time you get to this brand new interview from another company. So that is totally okay to not speak fast, speak at the right pace, make sure your thoughts are there. You can arrange your thoughts, but it's not really, you're not going to be doing it perfect on the first time. So you always have to make sure that the thought is there, what you are trying to explain is there, and definitely know when to stop. Sometimes, because we are nervous, we tend to actually talk so much that we end up beating around the bush, talking about things that you're not supposed to actually open up because it is no longer relevant to the questions. So, just that for the interview tips. I hope you got something out of it. And then the next one would be dressing properly. So I'm not really a fan of the phrase dress to impress. When applying, your goal should be that you are comfortable and confident when you walk inside that room to sell yourself and your skills. Wearing decent clothes should be enough for you to present yourself to your interviewer. You need not to wear tux and end it up feeling uneasy. Basically, whatever you're comfortable with, of course, you need to look formal. Other than looking formal, you should also wear something that would really bring out the best in you, because wearing something that you think fits you also gives out confidence. You can wear pants, top with maybe a collar just to look smart casual, um, and then make sure you don't wear spaghetti straps for girls when applying, or maybe for boys you're not wearing short shorts. Basically, the point is you need to look formal, you need to look comfortable, feel comfortable. Do not forget to bring your jackets with you, because it's definitely going to be cold. Other than the AC in these interview rooms are really cold, the feeling of nervousness would also add up to you feeling cold. So that's one thing that you need to consider. And then for the next part, know the company and the position. Basically, in the call center industry or the BPO industry, there are two main roles that's usually open for the public to apply. First one would be customer service. This is more on the soft skills, knowing how to pacify customers. And then the other one would be technical support. Technical support is actually a step-by-step process, you engaging into the customers about the specific product they've bought or the specific product your account supports. You will be giving them step-by-step directions on how to turn it on, how to get it connected, how to activate it, those stuff. And everything will be taught during training. So you need not overthink that it will be hard, because you'll just be going back to school. You will definitely learn everything. So this actually applies to both newbies and experienced applicants. It's not just for newbies who needs to research. Experienced applicants should do the same, because it's always a great addition to your confidence when you know what to talk about the company, and the company would actually feel that you definitely are interested because you researched on the matter, you researched on their company, what their benefits may be, or how long they've been in the industry, stuff like that. It is essential that you fairly know the definition also of customer service and technical support positions. If I may, and with my own understanding, um, their definitions actually are as follows, which I mentioned a few already, but let's just go over them one by one. So, customer service. This is actually a role when an individual is tested by his or her patients and is knowledgeable on matters that pertain to being or feeling one and the same with the customer. When you take a customer service role, you are expected to make them feel like you genuinely care for them. The greatest struggle in this one is testing your patience and making them feel you care through your words and the way you say them. Because not seeing the facial expression of the person you're talking to, even if you mean to actually pacify them, it might sound sarcastic to the other side. So the choice of words should definitely be um, as near as to what you we really mean when we talk to them. Then again, English is not our first language, but if you just get to the closest term as to what you meant and deliver it in a way that they would really feel you mean it and not in a sarcastic way, that's the best way to get started with building rapport with your customers, which is also a very great deal, because once you build rapport with your customers, then they would feel at ease, and they will actually feel that you actually know what you're doing. So that's for customer service. And then for tech support, this caters to, more on the technical side of things. May it be an internet service provider account, a mobile phone, computer, laptop, assemble goods, etc. So you need to have the skills of being patient as well in explaining things step by step, adjusting to the pace of your customer. It is highly recommended that you make your customer feel involved along the process with positive reinforcements, which we can discuss in our next module, by the way. So um, they will cooperate with you. So for technical support, we do not want to make the customers feel that they are dumb, that they don't know what they're talking about, because that's the last thing we also wanted to feel. So, what we wanted to let them actually understand is that they might just be confused on things, and that you are there to actually help them every step of the way. You need to also learn how to use sequential directives. When I say sequential, that should be, say, for instance, you're trying to let them check if their internet is on. So, what you would actually tell them is, first, you need to unlock your phone. To unlock your phone, you need to tap on the home button and then input your password. Then next. So basically, that's the sequential portion. When you say first, then next, finally. So those are the very basic sequential words that you could use to your customers when you are giving a um, step-by-step um, guidance when they are trying to set up something or activate something. So technical support basically is more on giving them the actual touch of the products that they have. So that's about it. And then now for the general hiring procedure. So this is where it gets um, really tensed. First is the initial interview. When you do an interview, there are actually two um, types of it. The first one, it could be an individual interview, or the other would be the panel. So when you say individual, this is actually when you are called one by one to answer questions from an interviewer, while the panel, on the other hand, is when you are called in group to answer the same question and you can hear each other's answers. So you are in one room, you get to be asked by the interviewer one single question, and then you answer, everyone in the room will answer um, around the table. So basically, to the from right to left or left to right, whichever is preferred by the interviewer. So that's for the initial interview. Initial interview, sometimes it could be questions that would say, describe red color to a blind person. There is no right or wrong answer to that. What they wanted to see is your confidence, your ability to arrange your thoughts, and um, your idea on how to actually explain things that seemed unexplainable. So that's just the goal, that you're able to enunciate the words properly, not too fast, not too slow, enough for the other party to understand. So that's for the initial interview. The next would be typing test. So for the typing test, it will actually, well, this would require you to have a good speed and accuracy of whatever you are typing. This is the site you can practice it on. You can practice at typingtest.com. It is good to type fast, but make sure that after you type fast, you don't delete fast as well. You don't hit on backspace too fast. So you wanted to make sure you are typing the right words, because deleting would lessen down your accuracy. Your speed is good, but accuracy is bad, so it will still be a domino effect to your score. So that is where you can actually practice. Next would be your communication and comprehension exam. So you will be given scenarios to read and comprehend. And to test communication, you will be tested if you are able to pronounce words properly with correct diction and stressing of words, because there are words that are spelled similar but are different in stressing. So let's say read. Read is the present. But when it gets into the past tense, it says read, but still the same spelling. So that's one thing we wanted to make sure. Now, with comprehension, of course, this is very much self explanatory. You will be tested with how well you are able to grasp information relayed to you accurately. So you read a scenario or a story, a short story maybe. After that, you might be asked to retell the story, depending on how your understanding was, or you would be asked questions with reference to the scenario or the story that you've read. So that is how it's going to be tested. So you also would want to practice that at home before actually heading to an interview. Next part is actually versant. And versant, as defined by Wikipedia, this is typically a 15-minute test of speaking and listening skills for adult language learners. Now, the test length varies slightly depending on the test. So, the test is delivered over the phone or on a computer and is scored by the computer using predetermined data driven algorithms. During the test, the system presents a series of recorded prompts as a conversational pace and elicits oral responses from the test maker. The Versant tests are available as several products, which we will later on discuss. So, first, what is Versant? Actually, Versant is when you're just inside the interviewing room. No one else is there. You only have your computer and yourself. Before you get to that room, you will be given a paper with the stories, with articles maybe or short stories, wherein later on that will be the basis of the questions in the Versant exam. So that's how Versant goes. So for this part, the parts of Versant actually is that you're given time to read, and then once that's done and you're ready to start, there will be questions that will be asked based on the articles you've read, and you will also be retelling stories you read using your own words. So if you're given an article to study, make sure to remember important details because those are the things that matter. And then after that, you can substitute the rest of the words when you try to retell the story, but make sure you've arranged the events in the story properly. So tips to get through. Avoid dead air. So when you avoid dead air, I would say fillers are okay, but do not abuse. So when you talk to or when you do the Versant exam, it's okay to say because that's normal. It's not our first language. We always have a buffer, but we do not want to abuse that. So as much as possible, if we ran out of words, definitely just think of the quickest way and the nearest word that you could describe to whatever you are thinking. That is to avoid dead air. When you say dead air, these are long pause and the system would detect that. Answer it properly and accurately. There has been rounds on YouTube right now saying that for you to get through this, you can just sing a song, say lines of a song, and you're good. But no, you need to do it properly and accurately because things now are being audited. And if you're caught doing that, you might just miss the opportunity of being hired just because you didn't know what to do. So, best tip, this is the best time for you to beat around the bush for whatever thought you have in mind. Say anything and everything about the topic that you have. Explain everything. You can explain every word so long as you meet the time limit. Okay? And then next, pronounce the words well. Then again, you are talking to a computer. So, machine error could happen. Make sure to pronounce the words well. Make sure you speak calmly and slowly. So I know I tend to talk fast and I wanted to eradicate that, but for now, this is how you speak calmly and slowly. You have to know the proper pacing, the proper stressing, the proper resting when you are talking. And that's definitely one of the things you also need to learn when doing Versant. Next, make your voice louder. If you wanted to shout, you can go ahead and do it. You're the only one in the room, no one else can hear you. And the good thing about that is it will be recorded. And then the next one is finish the time limit requested for each portion. So you may think you're running out of words. Just go ahead and go back to your initial thought up until the system says that time limit is up. And then for the last one, last but not the least, because for sure there are actually a lot of tips every one of you can share. But for my case, if you think you've retell the story already and the time is still not up, Just keep on talking and make sure you're still sharing the same thoughts. So definitely the same as what I said earlier. I'm not an expert on this. All these things that I've shared is actually based on experience, um, first-hand experience, and based on friends and colleagues who has mentioned the steps. And so I put it up in a document to actually share with everyone who wanted to know and understand how it goes when you are applying for the BPO industry. Next one would be the final interview. Now, this differs sometimes. It may come before Versant or after. Reason being is that they could use the stage to decide on what account you will be added to, depending on the hiring and the skills you showed during the entire hiring process. So let's say you already made it through, and then the final interview would be you being asked to assemble a phone because it's not turning on. How would you put in a battery? So that's one thing. Or you can be asked account specific questions like, do you have any experience with Airbnb? And based on that, whatever your answer is, then they would determine if they are adding you into that account or not. So, final interview is also a make or break. You always have to put your best foot forward in that. And that is actually the end of our presentation. Um, for questions, drop them in our comment box so we can chat about it. I will read and respond to your messages one by one. So, for every one of you who've heard it, go ahead and get it. It's never too late. There is no age limit when it comes to joining the customer service family. So just go ahead and get your things ready and head up to your nearest office that you could apply to. So that's actually everything that I have, and I will still be creating the next videos. And I think the next video I will be doing will be about questions that could possibly be asked during interviews for a call center industry. So for now, this is it. And if you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and make sure to hit the notification bell so you get notified whenever I have new uploads of the tutorials that we have for our channel. So that's it for now, and you have a great day, everyone. I hope to chat with you in my comment box. Bye.